Hello, it's morning where I am, so I'm going to say good morning, good day, good evening, good afternoon. I haven't been MIA. I've actually been working on something that has taken up some of my time, right? And I have been going live quite a bit, but I've been doing it on TikTok. For whatever reason, in my opinion, for me rather, it's easy to go live over there. It's easy to do anything over there. And I'm not pitting one app against the other. For whatever reason, it's just less stressful, I guess. So again, and if you didn't know, you can follow me on the Business of ECE over on TikTok. I even go live over there. But yeah, that's where I've been. I just had this like long, lengthy conversation in my mind that I wanted to have, here. And I kind of forgot what I was saying, right? Let's talk about the ability to pivot. How about that? The ability to pivot quickly is essential and it's paramount, especially in today's culture, right? Because in today's culture, maybe I should have put my laptop down somewhere. Let's see if I sit it right here. That's fine, because you can see the Bartesian. I don't care about that. Oh, I forgot that part. So to the ability to pivot in today's culture is paramount. I do not care about the couch, but let's see. Okay, there we go. The ability to pivot in today's culture is paramount, right? If you are someone who's used to having 4, 5, 10 different layers before a decision can be made, you're going to be lost. You're going to be lost. You're going to be left behind. You're going to be stuck. You're going to be frustrated, right? AI gives you the ability to process information quickly, which gives you the ability to make a decision quickly, right? If you're someone who's used to having a 10-step process before you make a decision, what are you going to do? What will you do? Are you able to pivot? Do you know how to pivot? Can you go with the flow, or are you stuck in your ways? Right? This year, I'm going to say, has been it's been hard, not because there were a lot of obstacles and this and that or whatever, losses or anything. It was hard because I had to pivot in how I think, how I do things, how I adjust, right? I allowed myself to be talked into something that was, I thought at the time it was great, right? And I thought that by doing this, it would help me here. And helping me here, it would help me there. I saw the benefits, the escalation of um, allowing myself to be talked into something, right? In the process, what I learned was a lot of people, well, there are people who cannot pivot, who cannot adjust, who cannot make a decision quickly and stick with it, right? Or who just can't make a decision quickly without those 10 steps. And as an entrepreneur, as a business owner of multiple businesses, what I learned and what I realized was that's a character trait and an ability that I believe entrepreneurs possess that many do not. Because we don't have the luxury sometimes to sit back and think through things, think over them, try and figure out what it is doing or what it's not doing, or what the outcome will be, or how it's going to work, or we don't have those luxuries, right? So we have to process information and make a decision, because you don't know if that opportunity or that situation will present itself again, right? So you got to weigh your pros and cons kind of quickly, make a decision, and move forward. Sometimes it's the best decision. Sometimes you wish you couldn't. You should have waited a little bit. But at the end of the day, a decision has to be made, and it has to be made in a timely manner. Well, this year I realized that's not a trait that many people have for whatever reason, right? And I'm not saying it's good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just acknowledging what I've learned this year. And I learned that my personality does not do well in environments of indecisiveness. I don't second guess myself. I've learned not to do that. I don't need 10 steps to make a decision. I don't need that. I've learned that I am able to make a decision based on the information presented and what I already know about the situation, right? If you surround yourself, or if you're around people who don't have that same or those same character traits or ability, it's very frustrating, right? So I've had to learn patience in areas where I assumed as you mean, I assumed that's how everyone thought. I didn't know. Now, we all know you're supposed to gather as much information over this time period. And then when it's time to make a decision, you make a decision, right? I would assume that when you're working collaboratively, everyone would gather as much information individually as they could to go along with whatever information is presented, process it, come together, have your questions, which were not already answered. Because I can't stand people, I learned that too, who ask questions instead of reading the information. Because had you read it, you would have known that your questions were already answered, right? That doesn't make you look smart to me. That makes you look like a fucking asshole, and you're getting on my goddamn nerves. Because why the fuck do you have so many questions? One or two, but not a fucking question every time. 3 or 4 over everything. Because a lot of those questions have already been answered. But let me finish, right? So you can see and you can hear, right? The frustration. Because that is what I've learned about myself. I've learned I like people who take initiative. I like people who are able to work independently and cohesively or collaboratively with others, right? I've learned that about myself. I've learned that before AI, I was a shit, right? With my intellect, my thinking, my processing, my reasoning, it was there. Now I've gotten older. AI does allow me to sound better at all times without my uh, personal dialect, right? Or jargon. That was hard. I've learned boundaries are important, right? I've learned that. I've learned not every opportunity is a good opportunity for me. I've learned that as well. I've learned that the words that a prior um, boss, he was a director, wife gave to me, I've been able to transform that into every area of my life to fit that situation and those talking points. And the statement was, because I was the administrative finance, her statement was, always treat the money like it's your own. Meaning, don't spend just because it's there. Don't allow purchases you wouldn't if it was your own money, right? Don't be don't be free with the finances, right? And I learned that. And I've learned that even if I am volunteering within an organization or someone else's business, I'm going to treat it as though it was my own. I'm going to give it the same tenacity, the same push, the same drive, the same passion that I would if it was my own. I'm not going to half ass. I'm not going to not learn anything. I'm not going to not apply things. I'm going to do my best to make it the best it can, even if it's not mine. I've learned to treat everything as though it was my own. I've learned that. I've learned, even in doing that, not everyone feels the same way. And that was hard to digest. Not everyone will have the same passion for someone else's. That was something that I had to wrap my mind around, right? Because also I grew up in church, believe in God, and read every day. If you go to my personal page, Alethea, what's Etinoff, right, on Instagram, you'll see that every day I post a daily scripture. I think I'm like up to day 903 of posting it, whatever. I'll check later to verify that. But it's over 900 days that I've been doing this, right? So I post a daily scripture. I spread the good news, whatever. Because in church, you're taught to do everything in excellence. Hey, good morning, Uriah. This is my granddaughter. In church, you're taught to do everything in excellence as unto the Lord, right? So I could apply that. But because my focus is always business, so I'm not going to take you to church right now. Just a minute. Yes. You know my things are? What things? This is a video. You have on shorts? Yes. Okay. I slept in my shorts. Oh, girl. I must slept in her t-shirt. I don't know. Bye, Uriah. So anyway, sorry. Uh, my other property, my other house, the air conditioner is not blowing air, right? And it's hot. So my daughter was just telling me that the technician was there and said that we need Freon, but he has to get permission to come back and do the Freon. So I had to tell her it's going to be a cost, and that's fine, but we can anyway, I don't know what she's talking about, her dog. But anyway, there's going to be a cost. I already know that, so I'm fine with that. So what was I saying? Oh, everyone is not going to treat someone else's business as though it's their own. Uriah, can you look on the wall uh beside the couch, the one right there by the fireplace, and bring me my box, and then look on the floor and bring me the cord? Thank you. Didn't I tell you don't wake your brother up? Didn't I tell you don't wake your brother up? Hurry. You know what? Their mother's on vacation. That's why I don't care about her eating Rice Krispie treats for breakfast. It's the summertime. I don't care. Call me what you want, say what you want. I don't care. We were in the grocery store yesterday, and whatever she wanted, she picked up, and that's what I paid for. She had Airheads. According to my daughter, I let her pick up my other daughter Airheads, Gushers, Rice Krispies. Whatever. She said it was a pack of 500 Dum Dums, lollipops. I don't care. You gonna stay out back? You gonna go outside? Look, okay. Let me have some peace. But so anyway, sorry. What I realized was not everyone is going to treat someone else's the same way. Come over this way. Come through the column right here. Okay, here. Plug this in. Move that air freshener. This is for the phone. Give me the one on the floor in front of the fireplace for the computer.
Oh, that plug is for the computer?
This is for the phone. The other one on the floor is for the computer. Not everybody is going to treat somebody else's the same way they would treat theirs. Everybody's not going to do that. They're going to have I'm not going to say they don't have a care or concern, because that would be wrong, right? They care and they're concerned, but they don't have the same drive or push unless it's situational. That's what I'll say. It's situational, not overall, but it's situational. So that was a hard thing to learn, right? Because I assume you would treat someone else's things the way you treat your own. Come on, right? Just like if you had here, take that thing out and plug this in, please. Get off my column. Here. Just put it down. Because I gotta get a refill for it. Here.
How you get a refill for it?
You go to the store and you buy them and you plug it in. Okay. So, and believe me, I'm not being rude or sarcastic with her. Well, I'm being sarcastic. But she knows that process, because when there's a time when I would go through whatever property and change them all out at once, whether they were all empty or not. I changed them all out at once for the sake, just to cohesiveness, synergy, right? Anyway, that's what I'm saying. That's like someone borrowing your car. That's like rentals back in the 90s, in the early 2000s, when you would rent a car and you would treat it like trash, right? You treat it like trash because it wasn't yours. You ain't clean it. You ain't care about no speed bumps. You know what I'm saying? Let's say if you was in college, right? You ain't really worry about it because it wasn't your car. And then they made you at that time take out the automobile insurance, which you knew was going to cover it. You know, it didn't have all the stipulations that some of them have now. Excuse me. So you knew regardless or however you did it, you were straight, right? And in some instances, I think that's how volunteers to organizations view it. You're not going to tear it up. You know what I'm saying? Unless you young and dumb. For the most part, your goal is not to tear it up. Your goal is to take care of it, you know, and treat it well. Um, Make sure it has gas, no issues during the time it's in your care. But you also know that's not yours to care, right? For the most part. And I learned that was hard to process. I mean, that was really hard to digest. I have another daughter over there too. Uh, it was really hard to digest how you know, the way people process things. So that was an issue for me. It was hard this year. Not being a control freak, because when you're the owner and you know everything rests on you and you know you have to own it all regardless of the outcome, you tend to micromanage, or not even micromanage. I'm not a micromanager. You tend to overly control or try to control situations to push to get the result you want, which is resolution, right? Um, so I learned that was a little hard and difficult for me because I spent, you know, married but still a single parent, you know. So um, I guess in some ways that has been my part, you know, a part of my personality. Not authoritarian, whatever, you know what I'm saying. I'm not an authoritarian because I do listen to inputs. I did listen to inputs from my children. I do listen to inputs from my staff. I do listen to inputs from experts and modify and change things to make those businesses better, and at the time to make my children better, right? Um, but there's still some a little control freak there. You know, I'll admit that. I didn't think I had it, but I do, um, to certain degrees. So that was a learning experience, right? And that was hard because I never saw myself that way. Um, because I'm sort of I put systems in place and then I have a hands off approach, right? I'm always operating as though I can exit at any point in time and things still be well. So I never saw myself as that. What is that? I never saw myself as that control freak, control person, right? So that was hard because then I had to start changing personality traits and habits of myself, and changing habits and the way you do things can be difficult at any age. So I'm not going to say at my age, at any age. If you've ever worked with children, you understand that, you know that at any age. If you ever had adolescents in your house, if you ever had teenagers, if you ever had young adults, if you ever had, if your adult child becomes married, if your adult child starts having children, and now you're the grandmother, you're not the mother, you know. So those habitual changes can be difficult, right? Let's be honest. Let's be human, right? So that was hard for me. What else did I learn? Um, I'm damn good at having systems in place. Let me pat myself on the back, right? Because I, when my daughter had my grandson, you know, They gave her a due date. It was on a Friday. Praise God. Um, I was there. My mother was there. My granddaughter was there. Of course she was there, right? Uh, her siblings were on FaceTime, and I was there. I was able to be there and in the delivery room when my grandson was born, right? Because when my granddaughter, she was in Japan, so well, we didn't know if she was going to get back in time, right? Then I was able to fly down every weekend to make sure for the first, that first 6 week period that everything in the house was done. Um, yeah, I'm damn good at having systems in place, right? I've been able to leave. I think that's the point I'm making. I have systems in place that allows me the ability to not have to be in any one physical location for my businesses to operate. That's the point I'm making, right? So I'm damn good at that. Um, I've learned even people with the best intentions can be annoying as fuck. I've learned that. I've learned to try to see something good in people that I'm just sitting there looking at you like, how in the fuck? Like, how did you even get here? Like, what do you do at work? Like, but still see something positive. And I've learned to monitor my facial expressions to a certain degree, right? That was hard. I'm laughing now, but it was hard, right? So, yeah, I've learned those things. It's been a hard year for internal growth, and a changing of thoughts and processes and how I do things. Um, but not hard to I'm going to quit. I'm giving up. Fuck that. No, hard in the sense that it's a battery charge. I figured it out. Hard in the sense that just recalibrating my brain, But I love it though, right? I love growth. I love changes. I love um, recalibrating myself, right? So it was hard, but it wasn't hard in a sense that it ever made me say, fuck that, I ain't got time for this shit. You know what I mean? No, I'm lying, because I did say that like multiple times for real. But not to the degree where I was actually going to be like, fuck that shit. Not like that. Rhetorically. But I'm a person who will change up my watch face, every now and then, randomly, just to recalibrate. I am that person that will change passwords randomly, not, in a way, just so I can make sure I'm not functioning in autopilot all the time, right? I don't like autopilot. I like autopilot for my business. I don't like autopilot for my brain. Let me say that. Um, because I never want to become stagnant in my thinking and how I view things and how I see things and how I accept others, right? So I change my environment often. Girl, what do you want?
I came here to say that is now calm. He was standing up without me in there.
Two. You at two. Um, so I like that about me, right? But y'all, it was hard. It was hard because I'm not a person who's ever bought into having a degree makes you smarter or more well informed or more capable of doing anything. I've never believed that. I've never bought into um, that thought process, right? Ever. So for me, seeing all of these people, I have a degree, right? But to see all of these people who believe that that master's degree or that doctorate, mainly master's degrees, because they're like tic tacs nowadays, right? Um, but you have all of this, but your ability to pivot is crazy. It's like you're skilled to one thing, but is it transferable? The fuck? If you don't have all of this stuff, all of these layers, before you can make a decision, can you? Like, having a degree does not should not take away your inability, your ability to reason, process, and decide. Like, what the fuck? And I think that's why people used to say common sense ain't so common. Cause like, you are skilled. You did all of that. Let me let it go. But yeah. So that's what I've learned this year, right? And the boundaries portion. Thank you, Lord. Forgot about the boundaries. I've learned it's okay to have boundaries, and it's even better to walk away with your boundaries intact. And I had to process this walking away make me a failure, because I had to process the thought of feeling like a failure, right? Simply because I wanted to walk away. Because as a business owner, you can't just walk away. You have to just keep pressing and plowing and plowing and plowing. And if you walk away or quit or shut down or whatever, sometimes you have to go through those internal emotions of failure, right? So I had to process that too. And I'm not even caring about that girl over there because I don't even know what she ate already. Um, so I had to process, would this be viewed as failure? Then I had to process, because I am competitive in nature, right? I think we all are to a certain degree, right? That's human nature. So then I had to process, am I allowing this situation to defeat me? Because that was real, you know? Um, so then I had to process, oh, this situation think it's better than me. Oh, this situation think it's gonna run me up out of here. Oh, but the whole time, the fact that I'm even having these conversations with myself, excuse me, miss. Excuse me, miss. While at the same time, not even realizing until, be honest with you, this week, if I'm having these conversations with myself, if I'm competing against something here to the degree that I'm becoming frustrated, annoyed, not frustrated, annoyed because I can't figure it out, but frustrated and annoyed because I know this is not healthy for me, because I'm not indecisive and I don't do well with indecisiveness, which is why I was a married single parent, because I ain't got to be with you. It's just me. You know what I mean? I can't do indecisiveness. Um, but not digressing again. I can't do lack of input, right? I can't do showing up when it's convenient for you versus when it's best for all, right? I showed up when I was in Cancun. I showed up when I was in Thailand. I showed up and show up regardless whenever, right? I expect the same out of everyone else. If you can't commit that, then you should not have committed for that or to that, right? So I had to realize what my boundaries are, what my standards are, what my ability to function sanely and healthy is, right? And I had to learn walking away is not a bad thing, right? Walking away does not make me a failure. I don't give a fuck because I did not have to process what the thoughts of others might be because of me walking away, right? So that was a little hard because we all have some sense of pride within us, right? That we have to be honest about. And I've already said I'm a competitive person by nature, right? But I'm also a team player. I'm also a cheerleader for others, right? Because I will cheer you on even if we're in the same field. I don't care because I believe what's for me is for me. And you can't do nothing about that. So even if we're in the same space, I can still cheer you on. But it doesn't diminish the fact that I still have some sense of pride, right? So then I had to deal with that. And that was hard within myself, trying to change that thought process of how I view failure. Um, and being a prisoner to the thoughts of others. So then I had to remind myself, remember when you was in your 20s for real? What was your statement? It's whatever. Why did you get to this point in life and forget that season of your life when it was whatever? Okay, Anne. I don't know why this just popped up into my mind. I remember the day I was supposed to not meet my sister-in-law, but I think we were going over her house for dinner, right? And however it was, Claude had already left, or I had to do something, whatever it was, we weren't able to drive together. So we had to meet there. And he was like, I knew you were going to be late. I was hoping you wouldn't be late, but I knew you wouldn't be late. And when you, we all have those seasons of arrogance, right? So I remember looking at him and I said, it's whatever. Okay, and I ain't got to go. I can go the fuck back home. What you want? You want me to go or you want me to leave? Which one you want? Because if you already knew I was going to be late, why are you upset that I'm late? I knew I was going to be late when I walked out the door because the time I was supposed to be there wasn't time. I walked out the door. But I'm saying that to say, and that was stupidity. That was foolishness. You know what I'm saying? That was immaturity. And on my part, 100%, right? And I'm owning that. But I do remember it. And it's something that, it's laughed about now, right? But I don't know when I started caring so much about what other people thought. You know, I should have cared more about how I thought, what I thought, what I wanted to present myself as, how I wanted to be seen, how I wanted to be viewed, because those things were more important than what she thought about me being late, right? See, that comes with maturity, right? Which I ain't have at the time. But yeah, I've learned it's okay to have boundaries. It's okay to instill those boundaries. It's okay to walk away when you feel as though those boundaries are being shifted, ruptured, or broken, or disrespected. I've learned that this year. Um, I've learned, although my back may be big, but I'm about to lose some weight, right? It's not made to carry everybody's weight. And if we're a team, we're going to operate as a team, which means I'm not carrying 99% of the weight and you're carrying one. And we're calling it a team. Um, but yeah, I've learned quite a bit about myself and quite a bit about life and having boundaries. And I hope that if you got anything out of this vlog, because that's basically what it turned into, but out of this TED Talk for the day, I hope that you got it's okay to honor yourself. It's okay to respect yourself. It's okay to change with the times, right? It's okay to love you. You don't have to be everything for everybody, and that doesn't make you a failure. But if you have an inability to pivot and think quickly and make a decision quickly, you won't survive in this time that's coming. Because there won't be a 10 step process to get something done, right? It's going to be one. I presented you with this information. What are your thoughts? What have you decided? Right? So I hope you heard that, right? Pivot, pivot, pivot. And thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Next time I might have to sit and have a drink, you know, when I'm here, right? Maybe we can have a nightcap, right? But again, thank you for listening.